Do you think that off-ramp looks like, because as of now, there are thousands of federal agents in the city, what looks like a de-escalation that works?
Brittany, I'm not at liberty to say right now, but I think what I've said before and I've said yesterday was there has to be a way for the state and the federal government to work together. I don't know the specifics of that, but as of right now, they're not working together. And until they do work together, I just don't think President Trump's going to allow that to be the case. If you look at the messaging out of the White House the last 2 days, they've tried to specify kind of what they're looking for in Minnesota. And Minnesota has pushed back and said, we don't think that exists here. There has to be kind of the middle of the Venn diagram where they can find some common ground. And frankly, I've also said that's not going to happen through news conferences or addresses to the state or tweets or press releases. It's going to happen through conversation. And so hopefully those conversations are starting in earnest and they continue.
I know you mentioned the business community a few times in this conversation. I was listening to one of your other interviews and you talked about the economic impacts a bit. You said recruiters are having a tough time selling Minnesota right now. I don't think people are looking at the videos of these protests of ICE agents in Minneapolis and exactly are chomping at the bit to go on a vacation in Minnesota or Minneapolis. Is the business community really concerned about potential long-term impacts here?
Yeah, the region's reputation is at stake again. And, I think the region's reputation started to make an earnest comeback over the last few years after George Floyd. I think that we joke that Minnesota's hard enough to sell with the weather, the tax environment. But once you get here, you don't want to leave because we have 4 seasons. You have a great quality of life. People love our public schools. They love our outdoor activities. We have one of the greatest healthcare systems in America. And so I think that is what has attracted people here. But, if you were up for an interview and you were going to move here and you saw the coverage or the footage, you might think, no, that's not the case. We always joke that, we'll have you in January and we'll see how much you love it if you've been here in June or July. And, the reality is it's cold here right now. That's also, I think, helped keep things calmer, is because, it's supposed to get to -4 this weekend. And so hopefully that keeps a lot of people inside safe, away from frostbite, and also just kind of keeps protesters from, ramping up after a second shooting this past week.